We call this the marker day forecast, this one for April 15th. We're using only World Health Organization's daily situation reports and their figures. We're calling it marker days because on January 21st, the World Health Organization released situation report number 1. If we call that marker day 1, then as the virus migrates from country, China there, South Korea, Italy, Iran, and crosses that 200 case barrier, we can call that marker day 1, and then that helps us to track and line up the data across the board so we can start looking for trends and curves and the things that tell us whether we're doing well or not. We call it a forecast because it's like a weather forecast, looking for the sunny breaks and the things that are going well, and also looking for those places where we need to do more work. Notice right away in the number of new locations being added as the virus spread. In the early days, it was very small, lots of zeros in there. But then, just like any other curve, there's a quick ramp up, and that happens right in here, in this place where these countries come online. These are all new countries and territories. These countries all go over 200, and suddenly we have a situation on our hands where the World Health says on March 11th, we've got a pandemic. More new countries being added. And then we start creating these podcasts on March 24th to kind of help to understand the trends. One of the things we wanted to definitely point out is that we can't just look at this cumulative cases and let that continue to scare us, because that's built on a lot of things that happened many, many weeks earlier. What we want to look at very carefully is the percent increase from one day to the next. If this percent increase is going down, that's a good thing. If it's coming back up, that's not good, because that means the spread is getting deeper, getting faster again. We're also going to look then at the daily score, because if it's red, that means there's more spread. If it's blue, that means it's decreasing, and we see a curve again, because here things were going down a bit, but as these countries came on, a lot more red, a lot more days when that was actually going up versus down. But then look at toward these last few weeks, the number of new locations in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days has been zero. One there, actually quite a few days of zero. So we've reached a saturation point in there in the world. And now we're looking at these numbers, still very big numbers, built again on 84 days that came before them. But here, this is a very significant number. Look at all the blue numbers here. We're actually decreasing the daily increase. So even though we might say this is still a 3.80 around the world with a case increase that large today, that's actually much better than we were doing back here a little while ago at 13.67%. So those are good things. Those are things that we want to celebrate and keep looking at the trends. When we started looking at the way this was developing, we noticed that every country seemed to hit a high point in around this range, 10, 11, 12, 13, where the percent increase would reach a top out place and then start to decrease after that. Also, there would be a day when the case increase would hit its highest point and decrease after that. That's very significant, because if these happened early as the country was working with the virus, that meant that they would also reach a day or a time when they would drop below 3% or thereabouts in their work on the daily increase from one day to the next. And that could bring about a time and place where they'd actually drop below the 1% mark, as we see here in China, and then over here in Korea. They've been there now for a few weeks below the 1% mark. Let's just take a look at Korea. Day 7, 40%, that's a big increase. But by day 12, they hit the highest case increase. Now we found that if we take 7 and 12 and added those together, so as smaller these numbers were, that would give us an indication that by the time they reached then day 19, 7, 12, 19, we would start to see some smaller percent increase numbers that would lead us to see good signs here. So we started looking for that in the other countries as well. Of course, in Italy, came quite late, 26%, a lot of red in there and some big numbers. And then a lot of days in here with some fairly significantly large numbers that drove up the cumulative caseload, made that the highest case increase day on March 22nd. But then some general movement down to the point where we could say in the forecast by day 40, we were hoping they'd be in the 3% range, 3.98. And since then, continually, you see the blue marks there, moving down, some bumps up and down, small, but down to today 1.86% increase. Still, the numbers will be there, and they will be larger numbers because we're building off that kind of a caseload. But overall, we're seeing a really good trend there that does give us some hope and some encouragement. Iran, again, took a long time to get to the highest, but still in the latest days down to 2.15 today. France, again, day 10, highest there, but a lot of movement in here, a lot of larger numbers, keeping the caseload and the cumulative cases up very high. But even there, their marker day 38 that we were looking for in that 3 range, they were at 5. There's been some movement up and some movement down, so we'll just keep looking at that and hope that this can continue in a downward trend. Germany, again, took a while longer through that to there, but at 1.69, small bump up today. Looking for this to carry down till we can finally break that 1% mark and then stay there. Spain, 3.71, hit that mark down to 1.80. Switzerland, there was an anomaly there, but generally speaking, this was a downward trend all the way through. Day 32, 2.42, and today they hit that 1%. So we're going to hope and look for that to continue to keep going down there. Netherlands, same kind of thing. Looking for day 42 to be under 3 and already there today. So they're ahead of the curve there as far as bringing that down. United Kingdom, there's been a lot of days in here where it has gone back and forth a little bit, but still stayed relatively high. That seems to be the highest caseload just a few days ago. We'll keep an eye on that, but that should mean that around April 23rd, we should be in around that 3 or lower range here as well. So we're really hoping that will happen. USA, a lot of numbers moving, missing reports here. That's what the gray means to the World Health Organization, that reports were missing on those days. But as we see here, a lot of blue, a lot of good things happening, some large increases on some days, but generally speaking, overall trend 4.41 today, and that's a good movement down, so we'll look for that to keep happening. Canada, day 12, there's a 3 here and a 96 here, so something maybe in there that's maybe needs to see some adjustment, but regardless, we're seeing lately a whole lot more of the blue days. Increase today of almost 1%, so that's something to watch for sure. And we'll keep looking at that to see if that resets and starts getting higher again, then there will be some work that will need to be done there. Portugal down 3.04. Looks like they will well hit that mark because of their trends going on there. Brazil 5.69. That's looking very positive. Daily score for the world as a whole. You see that generally speaking, when you look at these numbers, you just see downward trend all the way through, right from marker day 1 to where we are today is a common marker day 29 for all 14 countries that we're tracking. To the left there, see some small increases from time to time, but again, the general trend is down and decreasing the percent of day increase from one day to the next. 2 countries with a more random pattern, they still have that high point, but from there, it's just a constant undulating kind of curve, but generally speaking overall, 5.95 today for Japan, Sweden 4.54. So those are all good things, and like we said, general forecast, looking for the bright sides, looking for the areas that still need some work, but wanting to basically cheer us on and to say keep up the good work, and let's keep moving and working together. And I thank you again for listening.